Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is WPwatercooler's WPblab. It is Thursday. It is 7:30 Pacific. It is time for us to hit the record button and talk about some stuff. So, today's topic, we're going to be talking about securing WordPress website. Securing your WordPress website with SSL.
Dun, dun, dun!
I totally want to say, let's go around the room and introduce everybody, because that's like the next thing in my head. So, Bridget, tell everyone all about you, yourself, what you do, all the things.
I am Bridget Willard, and I'm the marketing manager for WordPress, creator of Give, the most robust donation form plugin.
Okay. Almost blew up there with the robustness. Oh, that's awesome. I'm Jason Tucker.
And that's a good part, because if you have credit cards, you need SSL.
You totally do. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at jasontucker.us. That's the website where I blog and do all the fun stuff. Go check that stuff out. I also do audio video stuff. You go to wpmedia.pro. Those are all the things that are going on there. This last weekend at OC WordCamp, we recorded a new show called, I know, we're both sporting it.
Hallway Track.
Called Hallway Track. Yeah, we even got cool stickers too. Look at that. Woohoo. So yeah, we did a thing called Hallway Track, which is we interviewed 13 different people. I know, 13, that was crazy. And we did about anywhere between 5 to 20-minute interviews, talking with them, learning about them, just kind of helping them promote themselves and stuff. So it was pretty neat. And my buddy Say Reed, she was the one that helped me out. She did all of the interviewing, and I did all of the tweeting and social media. I was like the poor man's Bridget Willard, if you will. So it was pretty awesome.
The poor man's Bridget Willard.
That's totally true.
Bridgetable. You were on all the things. It was good. I mean, yeah, I saw that, Kevin. I saw the rig with you had all these attachments for the thing. It was pretty complicated.
We could say that it was modular. It was modular with duct tape, but it was pretty awesome, and it worked really well, and I was super happy with it. So, yeah, everybody gets to see the videos. If you go over to the WPwatercooler Facebook page, you can go check that out, and we're gonna have live or more high quality versions of that up on our YouTube. So it will be awesome. Okay, so let's talk about SSL, secure socket layer, for all of you. That want to know what the heck it is. Yeah. So let's see here. It must have been like 4 or 5 jobs ago. I worked at Lunar Pages web hosting, and I was like their second or third tier support person, and I took care of a lot of the guys and girls that were support folks, and they would escalate tickets to me. And the ticket that they escalated to me the most was SSL certificates. And it sucked because SSL certificates require all this extra stuff. At least back then they did. Back then it was, I have to go and buy the certificate for the person, which I think we were using like 2 cows or something like that, TUCOWS. Yeah, so we're using them. Their company, one of their companies is called hover.com, if you ever heard of Hover. That's like a domain name hosting or registering company. Anyhow, so we go and buy the domain name buy the SSL certificate for them. We would then get them a static IP address, and then we would assign the SSL certificate to the server. Then we take the server information, they call that the CSR, and we'd send that back to the SSL certificate company, and then they would give us a certificate. Then I'd have to go and edit some files on the server.
Wait, there's more.
I'd edit the files on the server.
I'll just take a nap while you finish.
I would take the SSL certificate, which includes the main SSL certificate that's signed by the company, as well as all of the supplemental certificates, and I'd stick them into a folder on the server. I'd tell the server, hey, server, this is SSL certificate. And then somebody's dog blog or cat blog or whatever would have an SSL certificate, and they would feel super awesome about themselves.
So
and that's kind of
static IP address for this.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is that still true?
I'm trying to remember now.
I mean, a website is a static IP address, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if that's the case now, because now I don't really think much about it, because I end up just going like WP Engine or one of those companies, and I say, okay, give me a SSL certificate, and then I throw them some money, and then they install it and get it going. So I haven't done SSL certificates in a while now, but I'm trying to remember if you require static.
It seems like
I don't think so. At least the give WP.com documentation for SSL certificates is not saying so.
Well, if you, yeah, not that, but
yeah, I'm looking.
But Matt recommends that you don't use Let's Encrypt.
Why?
I wish you would write an article on that, because I know that Jesse Peterson, who did his Adopt Parker campaign, used SSL. I mean, used Let's Encrypt for his SSL. But there's something about it that it's not. You need that high-level credit card secure if you're going to use the payment gateway on your website. And some of the payment gateways require it, some of them don't. Like Stripe may not, but PayPal does, or vice versa.
Oh, so it's more because of the payment gateway requiring it.
Right. And then you have to force, not only do you have to have the SSL certificate, but then you have to force WordPress to make everything HTTPS. That's a whole other layer of apparently
of awesome. A whole other layer of awesome.
Well, apparently that's not default. Like, it's not like you just you install the SSL certificate here and then blammo, by magic, it just happens, right? It's
right.
The server has the SSL certificate, but then on your actual site, you have to force the HTTPS.
Yeah, yeah. And there's some settings that you change within the config to kind of get that set up and make changes.
I'll put that in the chat
to that and stuff. Yeah,
Matt's pretty smart about all that SSL stuff. Not that you're not, but it has to do with the payment gateway thing. It's all blah 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 blah.
And it's probably more because they can then blame it on somebody, where Let's Encrypt is a collection of backers that back, the Let's Encrypt campaign to kind of get people to start using encryption.
Because I know SiteGround is offering free Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, DreamHost does the exact same thing through their control panel.
Because otherwise it could be spendy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put in the notes here a couple different sites that have the Let's Encrypt info, or rather the SSL certificate info in there. So feel free to go check those out. It's the main web hosts that I've used in the past. So you'll at least have those all kind of figured out. So let's talk a little bit about SSL certificates and like what the heck they are and stuff. I always explain it to people that it's a little gold lock somewhere on your screen, or if you're using Chrome, it's a little green lock that's lit up.
Like, so you're watching this right now. Yeah,
they're using SSL here. YouTube will use SSL. There's, all of them have SSL. A lot of places have SSL certificates. So what is an SSL certificate? It's the connection in which your browser is connecting to the server using a secure socket layer, so that your computer is talking to the server, and all those connections are secure. You sometimes will get a notification saying that you're in a mixed mode environment, or that the certificate may be turned on, but some of the elements on the page are not secure. That usually means because, like what you were saying earlier, Bridget, that somebody tried to force everything on the page to be, SSL secure. And then what ends up happening is you'll have this one, little image, or one little element, or one little JavaScript, or one little whatever that will not be secure. And then guess what happens? The party's over. The security party is over, and now you're not able to get your stuff secure. That sucks.
So sad.
Yeah. So if you're trying to do like a very particular page that's that's SSL secured, you can do that. There's plugins out there that will do that. If you're hosted through premium hosting, kind of like WP Engine, WP Engine actually has a place on their back end where you can say like, I want this particular URL to be secure, or I want this like chain of URLs. Here's a whole bunch of them. I want those to be secure. That kind of stuff. So it just depends on if you want to have the whole site secure and deal with that, or if you just need very specific pages secured. So over at my church, we use an SSL certificate for just logging into the dashboard. That's the only place we actually ever need it on there, is just that, because when somebody like goes and gives a contribution to the church, they are actually sent over to a third-party website, and then the transaction happens there. And then it goes through all of our backend systems and all of that. So because of that, we don't need the SSL certificates for the whole website. We only need it just on very specific pages. And so we try to give people the warm, fuzzy feeling that that their data is being secured by putting an SSL, having a page be SSL protected. So that way, when they're filling out a form or something like that through Gravity Forms or whatever, I just make sure that page that the Gravity Forms is on is secure. And that when they go and submit the form is secure as well. So that way, everything's just secure front to back.
So not just credit card payments, but like when people are sending you the email address.
Right. It makes the person feel better about it. Now, it's not to say that that's like good or bad or whatever. I mean, it's just your email address, but it's also just your email address. It just depends on how you feel about that sort of thing. But I've had people that were like, why don't you have an SSL certificate installed on your site? And then come to find out they work at some like, web host, or their husband's a web developer, or they're whatever. And they're just, they think everything should be SSL secure, which, yes, definitely should be. But I don't want to deal with the headache of securing a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be secured. At some point, we'll get there, but currently, that's not the case. So, this topic kind of came up from a discussion that you were having at work, Bridget. Can you share a little bit about some of that, or even, just kind of what sparked this whole thing?
I think Devin or Jason or both of them went to the talk with Zach from Wired.
Oh, yeah.
And then also at the Plugin Palooza, one of the plugin judges asked a question about one of the developers about where's this data stored, and for Give, a lot of times they want the payment gateway, which means they really need the SSL, but not everybody understands that fully. And so we're thinking about, obviously writing about it more deeply than the documentation we already have. So I thought, well, why don't we talk about it? I mean, you're an IT guy. You're like full stack guy. I mean, you barely do WordPress. Most of your life is in this world, right? No, but you always think my job's like 20% WordPress.
That's totally true, yeah.
So I thought, like, if anybody could talk about it, it'd be you.
Yeah.
So let's just, it's a good topic. Like, I almost forgot it was Thursday, and then I had to look into my drawer of WordCamp swag. I thought this would be the most, the only reason why I remember it's Thursday, because this is the only day I wear WordPress shirts or whatever. My nerd swag. So full Slack. Yeah, full Slack. How many Slack channels are you on?
I'm a full Slack developer. all my development happens through the Slack.
Slack channel. Yeah.
So yeah. Let me walk you through a few things. So like at my work, we have SSL certificates for a whole bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. So when you're interacting with our Wi-Fi, it's using some type of certificate to do that. When you're interacting with our printers, there's an SSL certificate for that.
Wow.
When you're interacting with, what else would there be? Oh, like our intranet. Our intranet's hosted as a WordPress intranet that uses SSL. And that's actually using Let's Encrypt to do that. So that's kind of cool. It's an internally hosted, but externally accessible, site. But it's something that we secure using SSL. So yeah, so we have a bunch of stuff like that. If you're into any of our networking equipment, uses SSL. Pretty much anything has a web interface. I try to just stick, an SSL certificate on it. And we buy the SSL certificate they call it a wildcard SSL, which means that anything blah, blah, blah dot jasontucker.us, the blah, blah, blah could be anything. It could be www, it could be just the naked URL, the naked domain name, which is just the
subdomains.
So it supports all the subdomains, which is kind of nifty, because if you're really wanting to secure every single server that's on the network, you just do it, you buy one.
I love bbs.jasontucker.us.
Yeah, and you buy a $500 SSL certificate, but it takes care of all the servers.
Okay, that makes sense. My printer
Right, yeah, printer number 1, printer number 2, printer number 3.
I didn't realize you could do that.
You could totally do that. So what's nice about it as well is it doesn't need to be on the same server. So like ours are on the same servers. They're all different servers, all different devices that have SSL installed on it.
So let's say Internet of Things?
Kind of, yeah. So like
the printer is not on the server, it's a printer. Just the printer. An IP address, and you're assigning that IP address a subdomain.
Right. But that little printer actually has a web server built into it.
It does. Wow. That's a network printer.
Yeah, you just type in the IP address and a website shows up. So the reason why I'm saying that is if you have a bunch of subdomains, let's say that you're into like you're going to be hosting a large multi-site or something like that, and you wanted to have
find that for the studio audience.
A multi-site?
Yes, Bridget. What is that? I keep hearing it.
Let me grab my shovel. Where's my shovel at? Okay, a multi-site. Real quick. So you have the main WordPress website, right?
Yeah.
That's a single site. It's just its own instance of WordPress, and that's it. A multi-site is when you take the next weekend WP immersion. No joke. Okay, so you have a multi-site, and what a multi-site is it allows you to have multiple copies of WordPress or multiple websites running WordPress on the same installation of WordPress.
Is that like WordPress.com? Is that a multi-site?
It's exactly like WordPress.com.
So we're good. We're just caught up.
Yep. So if you wanted to have, let's say,
I just hear it a lot. I don't know what it is.
Bridget's dog.
BridgetWiller.com. Chloe.BridgetWiller.com. Sully.BridgetWiller.com.
Yeah. If you wanted to have all that, you could totally do that.
Oh, so that's why people want plugins to work on multi-sites.
Yeah. Now, the other way around is that you can assign a domain name to a multi-site.
Oh, really? Oh, that's what WordPress.com does.
That's exactly what WordPress.com does.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And if you've ever talked to like people that do, they'll host multi-sites, like a fitness website that has a bunch of websites, or multiple fitness websites or multiple gaming websites or whatever the vertical is, they'll build a WordPress network, if you will, of all of those sites running on one core installation of WordPress, which means you only update one version of WordPress, which means that when that one version of WordPress breaks,
they all
guess
break.
What happens? Yeah,
or they all stay secure if somebody's paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Finger on the button.
Exactly.
So good, bad, and ugly. That's a whole other show then.
Yeah, so that's kind of the cool part about having a
wild
star.
Card. So the wild card supports multi-sites.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because Oh, okay. I was just reading the chat. The chat always throws me off.
It's fun though. It's my favorite part.
It is. So if any of you folks want to jump in and ask any questions or talk about it or whatever, I pretty much have described what an SSL certificate is at this point. And I wanted to kind of get more into dealing with SSL using WordPress plugins and kind of explaining how various WordPress plugins would be used to either take care of the entire website or only very small pages or what have you. So we're going to get into that. If you wanted to hop in the hot seat or if you wanted to ask some questions about or whatever, feel free to. I'd be more than happy to kind of answer some questions there.
But also, SSL ranks you higher, even though Google's not admitting it officially. That's what's happening.
Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, it is, and they've changed a lot. Like, there's no ads on the site anymore. The ads are the first 4 things. So, like, if you use that traditional above the fold, which is a whole other debatable thing some people don't want to talk about. But the first part of the results that you see, it's add, and almost always now those top ones are SSL. So whether or not they're going to say penguin or whatever the next animal is really updating this. Everything that I keep seeing, like on Moz, says
they keep talking about it.
This is the trend. So not just for protecting your emails, form submission, or any of that, just in general, it's one of the signals, one of many signals.
Well, it's like, why not? Especially if you're going to be protecting, like if you're running a forum on your site, using like BBpress or something like that. Why not? Why not protect all the people that are on your site? So one thing we didn't really discuss here is like why you should have SSL. By SSL or HTTPS, depending on how you want to describe it. HTTPS is the protocol, just like HTTP. It's the secured version of HTTP. And so by having an SSL certificate on your site, what you're doing is you're actually blocking the ability for third parties to be able to look at the content that you're looking at on a website that you're on. So let's say you're at work, and perfect example, you're at work and you're looking at your Gmail, right? It's your personal Gmail, and you're looking at your Gmail. The connection between your computer and Gmail is actually secured, which means that someone like me, the admin of the network, isn't able to look at the content of what's on the page as it's going across the wire. So when it's going from Gmail to your computer, I can't see that connection. I see you're connected to Gmail, but it's all secure, and I can't actually like snoop in and see. Us? Yeah, not at all.
Unless you have remote desktop installed.
Sure, but it's
I know what the icon looks like when it changes. It needs to be stopped.
So when someone wants to kind of spy on you through SSL, or when somebody's using SSL, they can't spy on you. There are ways of getting around that, and we'll get into that in a minute. But there are ways that you can actually watch somebody's connection if you have control over the network that they're on. Various, what's up?
Hi, Various.
What's up, man?
So I'm gonna take my black hat off real quick, and I'm gonna put it right here, right over there, and we'll put that black hat back on in a little bit.
I like your shirt, Various.
I know. I honestly didn't plan. I didn't plan it. I was wearing it today, and then I saw you guys were wearing yours. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy.
Word cap.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, like I've been seeing the SSL everywhere. Like, that's kind of something that I know Google's pushing for it, and you see, Facebook switched over a while back, probably several years back. Twitter switched over, and I've kind of been patiently waiting because I have a virtual private server, and I'm using cPanel, and so I have a certificate from GoDaddy, and I looked into, also several other certificates. GoDaddy charges like $60 per year for their certificates. The prices are just kind of all over.
Hey, but I was looking at was $300.
I know that's probably like easy extended.
100.
See, and that's like the Better Business Bureau seal of approval type thing that goes onto your website, which it gives you the warm fuzzies, and it's like, yeah, dude, I spent $300 on this thing. It's pretty awesome, but really, if the partner that you're working with, be it whatever, you're going to require it, then you got to do it. Unfortunately,
that's true.
Yeah, there's a Let's Encrypt kind of plugin thingy for cPanel that I was looking at during the pre-show here. It's kind of neat. I saw that,
and I've been tempted to get that one because it's just like it's easy. It actually automates the renewals because Let's Encrypt.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah, it automates everything, and so
I love plugins.
But they said they're developing it, and I've been following a thread with cPanel, and they said that it's going to be out in their version 58.
Oh, okay.
Which they're on 54 right now, and I'm just like, can I wait 4 more cycles?
So
and how many is that? Like how many is that? Months? Is that weeks? Is that days? Like, are they like Chrome where they just like crank them out once every couple days, or what their deal is? It's, I don't know.
Sometimes their development cycle is really fast, but it was a year ago that this idea was proposed to them, and people were bugging them. There's like 230 comments on their forum. They actually ended up closing the forum because they're like, you guys are coming too much. And they updated 2 weeks ago, and they're like, hey, it's gonna be out. We've got it for beta testers, and I wanted to be a beta tester, but I didn't catch it in time.
Yeah.
But that was 2 weeks ago, and I'm just like, can I wait another month? Or it's probably going to end up being probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder when it's going to start trending that this is just an expected service. You know what I mean? Like that.
Well,
bottom line, every host who does WordPress hosting, whether it's managed or otherwise, says everybody gets an SSL. I mean, because WordPress was talking about making, I think in one of their new releases, their core updates, that they're talking about probably including forcing the HTTPS. Whereas now you have to use a plugin. So if they force that, wouldn't we want the hosts, like, next time we're all rubbing elbows with the host people at WordCamp, we should be like, when is SSL going to be by default, right? Because, the WordPress people, we care about security.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? I mean, it needs to be like the thing that people kind of say about WordPress that hurts our feelings is that it's not secure. And we know that it is. But of course, so we're like, oh yeah, we keep everything up to date. But wouldn't it be nice if somebody's like, yeah, I like these really cool socks, and you have a really great giveaway. How about free SSL for everyone? Like, just
I think the toughest part that I can imagine about SSL is converting your website completely to SSL. You have to go back through and make everything secure, like every part of it.
Earlier we were talking about having a mix mode and what ends up happening with that. Dealing with the fact that one stupid little, embedded, item or whatever is messed up. It could be JavaScript, it could be jQuery, it could be whatever. And if they don't have SSL on their end of it hosting it, then it breaks it.
What about embeds? Like inserting tweets, because Twitter is HTTPS. So if you insert a tweet, will that be supported, or is that, because I'm always putting tweets in my blog posts.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Going back to like my talk that I did, I know it's like all background. It would have to be that iframe that it makes would have to be HTTPS. So yeah, you would end up having if you force HTTPS, then that's great. But if you default back to HTTP for whatever reason, yeah, that would suck. It would make it so that the person wouldn't be able to embed your content. So yeah, that would stink. So I would definitely, you know, if you're going to do it and you feel that people are going to embed your content, then yeah, you should totally do it. Which means that WPwatercooler needs to have an SSL certificate now.
Huh.
But doesn't YouTube have SSL?
Yeah, everything. Almost all Google's properties
That's
are all
what I'm
SSL.
saying. So if you're putting a YouTube link in there, that's
right.
SSL.
But if you're doing the OEmbed thing,
You mean the OEmbed from a WordPress site to another WordPress site? That's different.
Yep.
Oh.
That's what would happen. It would actually break it.
That's why they're thinking about it, not doing it, because WordPress believes in backward compatibility. I know this.
Yeah.
They don't want to break stuff.
Yeah.
Bridge is learning things.
So what type of stuff have you been dealing with, Various, when it comes to like SSL and making SSL on every page, on all the stuff, on everything? How are you fighting that good fight?
Well, the one large thing I've been trying to deal with is convert my entire business website to SSL. There are some plugins that, you know, I'm on a WordPress network, so some plugins are poorly written. You know, you got to get rid of those if they're pulling content from an unsecure like content delivery network. I use Jetpack as well, and so it pulls down the images. I'm using Proton with Jetpack, so that's like the image content delivery network. That works really well because it's secure. The insecure elements, like, I mean, most of them are more than likely something back in the past that I either hard coded into the blog, you know, not using best practices. I've just been kind of afraid to make the jump, but I need to do it. I've been on this kick for probably the last 3 or 4 months, actually probably longer than that, 6 months. And I've been like, okay, I'm gonna convert everything, because I have like my blog, then my regular website, and I have one subdomain in the network that's tv.philoveracity. But also I just updated our Inland Empire WordPress website, and I'm thinking it should have HTTPS as well, because it would just be all around better to have.
Well, people's usernames and passwords are being passed over when they log in. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. And
yeah, there used to be this thing called protocol relative URLs, which is like
where the
you take off the HTTP or the HTTPS.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of like embeds, or not embeds, includes being using that technique.
Yes.
But now that people want sites more to be HTTPS versus HTTP, it's probably better for you to not do that and to just force all the URLs to be HTTPS.
Wow.
Because at least you're 100% certain that it's HTTPS, and mixing on a website that's HTTP with content that's being hosted as HTTPS isn't a bad thing. That's a good thing. At least that part of it's secured. Your website, you chose to not have it HTTPS. It's not secured, but at least the content that you're using remotely will be secured. So yeah, everywhere I've looked, because I was looking into this when we were kind of redesigning our intranet at work, and trying to figure out like what's the best way. And I was like, yeah, you could do that whole like / colon thing, and then the browser just figures it out. Well, the browser just figures it out, except for very certain crappy browsers that don't. And I was like, forget it. I'm not even going to do that.
Internet Explorer.
It's not even worth it. Yeah, IE6 actually doesn't support the / colon.
What?
Oh, wow.
I don't know why.
That's You know, I posted on Facebook. I found when I was planning to relaunch my version 2 of the website. I posted on there that I was like, do I need to develop for IE6?
Yeah, I saw that paperwork you wrote. Yeah.
Do people use it? Do real people use it? Does anybody you know personally use Internet Explorer?
No, but we at a church, you have people that are old that have older hardware.
I mean,
and all of that.
Does Various know one single person?
I hope not. If they're all web developers.
If they do, I'm not.
Adam Silver says he uses it on his Palm Pilot.
Good for you, Adam. Good for you, dude.
So Various, what is motivating your drive to be secure?
Well, I can tell you.
Just on your website or whatever.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. You know, part of it is a performance issue. Well, I'm sorry, not performance.
Ranking signal.
Performance is more of like, you know, getting ready for HTTP S, and I mean, I'm sorry, Speedy was coming along with that. You know, HTTP Speedy too, but I guess there's the big one, Google. Google looks favorably upon secure websites, and you get obviously some type of kudos or some type of brownie points through Google for that. Yeah. But also, like, I don't do any transactions on my website, so I'm not really super concerned about like financial stuff. Although I do have clients that, who are, submitting information whenever they're wanting a proposal from me. I have one form on my website where they can actually save their information and come back and redo the form later. And so that would be another issue.
So there is data.
Yeah, it's not major data. It's not anything like super personal, but it's name and stuff like that. And, just trying to scope out the project. Like, everything goes to a third party with me though. And so, but yeah, I mean, like, kudos, I want brownie points with Google.
Who doesn't? I mean, you want them to invite you to dinner,
Well, then at some point you would think that Google would say, everybody is HTTPS at this point, but your website isn't.
Yeah.
Now you're probably not getting the brownie points at all. You're actually getting negative points, but that's down the road still. I don't know how long it's going to be from now.
There's a big giant article on Moz that I put in the chat notes, and that's what I'm saying is they kind of like alluded to it enough that people are doing it. There's like 30% of the sites are now HTTPS because all the big ones, like you said.
Well, and I mean, I think another issue has to do with like, I think it'll be just good for everybody to have SSL on their website, because the time we're in right now with you being tracked on the internet, I mean, that's just like a huge yes for me. I mean, like, I want to be able to put whatever protections I can, and only allow people to have whatever data I want them to have, instead of just being able to get everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, because if you're like most people, they have one email to rule them all, and that one password in that one email, and that's what they're doing. And not all of us are going to use passwords that are more secure than nuclear launch codes. Okay, so I'm just saying. Like,
well, so yeah, I'll give you a good example as to why you should have an SSL certificate, even if you're not doing transactions. So let's say that you're traveling and you're in some foreign country, and you hop on some free Wi-Fi, and the free Wi-Fi doesn't have a passcode. It's just open Wi-Fi. You connect. So you connect. And then you look over and you see this like shady individual over off to the side, and he's sitting there waiting for you to type in your password. So you go onto your website, you go fill in the information, username, password to log in. You're just gonna be like, yeah, which is really great, place, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to blog real quick. And then you blog real quick, and then you hit submit, and then you go and blog, and then guess what happens? Mr. Shady Individual over there was doing a man-in-the-middle attack, and he was waiting for you to connect to your website, and he went and grabbed your password right out of the air. It just flew by, and he went and just grabbed it, and then he went and stored it. And down the road, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go, run some little scripts or something on my site, on your site, and he's just going to go and put in a plugin that, does something bad. And now your site's, showing, Viagra ads or what have you. So like that type of thing is what could happen, or they just take over the site, or they grab all of the email addresses that's in the site, or they start spamming it, or whatever it is that happens. That would be a good reason to use an SSL certificate for that. Same with if you're at an airport, if you're connected to Wi-Fi, if you go to McDonald's and you're on their Wi-Fi,
if you go to
you're at
WordCamp.
Starbucks and you're there. Yeah, if you go to WordCamp, any of that stuff, all those places are places in which
together.
Right, exactly. Now there's other kind of this whole black hat, white hat thing. There's also ways in which if you have the ability to trick somebody into thinking that they're connecting to free Wi-Fi, and what ends up happening is you connect to their computer first before going out to the server. Let's say you do have an SSL certificate installed on your computer, and you're like, oh yeah, got SSL, I'm good, no big deal. If you make poor choices of which networks you connect to, and those networks,
number 4.
Yeah, what ends up happening is your computer is connecting to that guy's computer, who is allowing that secured connection to go between those two parties, pretending to be your website. Then he goes and connects to your website and says, yeah, we're secure, it's all good. And then what ends up happening is your information gets tunneled through his computer, collecting all the data it needs to, and then goes off to the website. So yeah, it's like, well, why even have SSL? Well,
no, but so here's my question. No, I wasn't going to be that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tone it down. But like cities are offering free Wi-Fi now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But most of them offer free Wi-Fi. What happens is you connect to a non-secure connection, which doesn't connect to the internet. It just connects to another connection, which is secured. So, like for instance, like Cox or Charter or any of like your local cable company or Verizon or whatever, they'll have a deal with the city where they'll come up with a way that will get you, Wi-Fi. Yeah. Frontier if it works, right? Any of those types of things, you'll be able to connect to it and be able to get SSL or be able to get a secured connection out there. So yeah, really, you just want to put up as much, as many walls as you can and kind of block as much as you can, but also make good choices. So yeah, just like what Root Shell's saying in the chat here, everything's exploitable at this point. So it's like, you want to make sure you're making good choices and also make sure that you're buying an SSL certificate.
So, I mean, how do you tell if it's shady or not?
The Wi-Fi?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing that all day long. Like, give me some free Wi-Fi, a Diet Coke, and air conditioning. I'm a happy lady.
So if you want to take it one step further, using like a VPN connection on top of that would help.
How do you make that?
Exactly.
Which is a virtual private network for those of you who are trying to look it up.
That's just
being a good
device, or is that another cloaky internet?
If you're going to have unprotected Wi-Fi with somebody, you need to use protection.
It's a VPN is just sending you're routing your traffic to another server.
Right.
Flowers and trees.
So yeah, let's talk about VPN and then we'll drop it real quick. So just like what Various was saying, I connect to a VPN, which means that my computer is pretending that it's someplace else. So it's connecting to another network out on the internet, and then it's going up from there. But that's stopping the person who's locally at that Starbucks or whatever from being able to see any of that traffic that's going through. So as long as your VPN connection's secured and connected and configured correctly, so all the traffic's going through it, it will make it so that you'll show up someplace else, and hopefully that endpoint that you connect to out on the internet will be, isn't somebody sitting there waiting for you to connect and, start scooping data.
I mean, every co-working space, every time you're in public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's great ones for like your phone. If you wanted to have be on VPN all day long, 24 hours a day, you totally can do that. But there's also networks that block VPN connections because they just don't trust their users from, like scooping up data and sending it someplace else without them knowing it.
So you're just
now you just added
saying,
like 2 layers of security on top of it. That VPN connection, which is like a tunnel going from your computer to someplace else on the internet, and then an SSL certificate, which is like,
Okay, so stranger danger. It's back to that.
Yeah.
When we were kids,
Yeah.
Don't get into somebody's car. Don't get on free Wi-Fi.
Don't get into a stranger's car unless you call them on Uber or Lyft. That's about it.
That's why I couldn't get into the Uber thing. Like my whole childhood, they said, do not get into strangers' cars. These are people who vets these people. That's another show. But so what I'm saying is, so you can put the HTTPS, but really, you shouldn't be updating your website when you're outside in public.
Yeah.
You should do it at home where you trust your own network.
Well, you say that until you have a browser window loaded up and some tab loaded up on your browser that is connecting to your website. And the second it connects, it just gave up everything. Just like how people are like, oh, I never check my email when I'm outside the country. And I go look in our on Gmail for my work, and I'm like, yeah, you guys do. You guys are connected all day long. And it ends up that their phone's connecting and their computer's connecting and they're this and that's connecting. It's like you don't know unless you really know.
So there is no safe.
No, just take your computer and burn it and throw it outside.
I think there's a community. As I told my boss earlier today, there's a community for us in Pennsylvania should we ever want to do this. And they don't have Wi-Fi problems. So. But you all have to work together to raise a barn. It's a community. It's just not going to be a WordPress community.
Oh, man.
Oh,
so,
man. Adam has tons of questions.
I know.
You should.
I'm gonna just work.
That's a good question.
Yeah, Adam, if you want to jump on, feel free. Adam Thompson, feel free to jump on. No, it's cool, dude. Don't ever.
Questions. We live for questions.
Don't ever say sorry on this show. There's no reason to say sorry.
Questions stop Bridget rambling on. Bring it.
You have questions. We have blank stares. Yeah, Adam, if you want to hop on, feel free to. If you're too scared or you're not sure if this SSL connection between your computer and this is secured, it's cool.
Well, I was going to say that for me, it's become a little bit easier for me to manage. Now, here's one of the things I do now. I've become really, I guess I wouldn't say dependent, but I've come to love the WP CLI. And
yeah.
I get onto my server with SSH, and so if I'm out in public, I'm already protected, covered, because I got this SSH tunnel that I'm going through. And then I use the CLI to update websites on my server. And it's just so much easier if you start to go that route and learn to use the command line. It's really not that hard once you start getting into it. You know what I mean?
Bridget,
is it
you
like
can
DOS?
do it.
Is it like DOS on your WordPress?
It's totally like DOS. It's totally like DOS.
Can you make your name school like this?
You totally can. Yep.
That would be another good show topic. Let's remember that next time we're jonesing for topics. WP CLI.
Yeah, and using SSH is great because you're able to at least connect directly to the server and then modify, make changes to all that fun stuff. And yeah, good stuff. And not all web hosts support it. Not all web hosts give it to you. But I will tell you, the ones that give you just Telenet and not SSH, stay far, far away because that's not a secured connection where SSH, the first S in SSH is secured socket shell.
Yes.
Well,
So,
is it, where's the H come in then? I'm having a hard time.
Just like PHP. PHP is not really an acronym.
Yeah, right. What is it? Pre-hypertext processing again?
Right. Exactly. So let's see here. What else we got?
Here it comes.
You know what I love about doing shows like this, especially on something like Blab, is that we end up getting these like industry expert, web host people or black hats or white hats or hackers or whatever, and they get on here and they're just like, oh my gosh, they're talking about SSL. I gotta jump in here and kind of rattle it up a little bit. So I love it. I love when people want to ask questions and really kind of get things figured out. Adam, what's up, dude? How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. I wasn't really gonna like jump in because I know very little about SSL, so I was kind of anxious about jumping in, but I definitely I have some questions about it, so that's good.
Please.
Jason has answers.
So my question actually was, would you use an encrypted browser? Because like down here in New Zealand, internet's expensive, and I've got really good download, but my upload sucks, and that's for various reasons other than money as well. And I worry about VPNs throttling my connection speed because it's a very real problem for me. And so I wonder if using an encrypted browser would be a good way around that instead.
So when you say encrypted browser, is there like a browser name I can look up real quick to kind of get an idea what you're talking about?
That's kind of why I was asking, like, because I know that they exist.
Yeah,
I've heard of them, but I don't.
Yeah, so in the chat they're talking about like Tor, which is the onion router. There's definitely browsers out there that will use Tor directly. I don't have much experience in using that, mainly because I don't do a lot of traveling. So it's not like I go to China and I'm trying to get through the Great Firewall of China or anything like that.
Oh, we should have asked John Brown.
Totally, John Brown would have known. He would have said, I use VPN. It's good.
He knows everything.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat you have some folks talking about like the Tor browser and that sort of thing. Whenever you have a secured connection happening, you're making it so that way no one else can look at what's going on. And when you're using Tor, it's even more interesting because every connection that you're doing outside of your network is going to different places. So that way you're kind of more in a distributed type of situation there. So what happens is someone is running a server that they call like an endpoint in Tor, where you're able to connect your computer over the internet to another place and pretend that you're coming out of of that location.
Like the criminals do on CSI.
Totally like the criminals do on CSI. That's exactly it. So, but if you live in a country that doesn't allow you to get out to the real internet, Tor is perfect for that. But then if you start layering on additional things to it, that's when you either make yourself a little bit more known because now you're adding all this extra data and no one's able to see anything that's going on there, or it just makes it slower because now it's encrypting the encrypted encryptions, and now you've just like over encrypted everything.
How much speed does that take down, Jason?
Well, it's more about your computer connecting to the server, and so that adds a little bit of overhead. And then the server itself, all of the that's why a lot of web hosts are freaking out a little bit about the idea of switching over to HTTPS, because now those servers are having to decrypt that connection, depending on how.
That's more processing.
Yeah, exactly. But nowadays that stuff's cheaper, and you just spin up more servers, and you just kind of make things happen that way. So it ends up working out in the long term.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Ruchil was mentioning like the Onion protocol, the Tor, dealing with that. It means, just like with VPN, if you're not telling it every single thing that I'm doing on my computer has to go through this VPN, at some point, some program that you're going to have on there is not going to realize that it should send traffic through that VPN connection, and then it exposes you to like the naked internet, if you will.
Like signing on to Pandora or something.
Totally. Yep. Or if
Wow.
you're trying to watch Netflix and you're in some other country and you're pretending that you're here.
Wow, that's kind
Or
of
if you're trying to watch, iPlayer from BBC in some other country, that sort of thing.
Maybe I should go join the Amish. Let's take that.
You probably should. It'd probably be a lot easier.
A new co-host.
I think it'd be a lot easier. You're just like, this week in cow milking.
It's actually really hard. It's really hard to get US Netflix in New Zealand. Like,
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so hard. Like, believe me.
Because of the licensing or whatever.
I've tried so many different services and that, and I've actually given up and just put it with New Zealand Netflix now. So
no House of Cards for you?
Now we get House of Cards.
Well, it was originally at BBC. I don't know if that makes it better.
We get a lot of British content actually because we're part of the Commonwealth. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's all I watch anyway. I love
So Bridget's good. Bridget, just move down there. It's all good.
Yeah, do it. That's paradise. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Lord of the Rings was filmed there. It can't be that bad.
Right?
There is.
I love Lord of the Rings.
Second breakfast, third breakfast. I just like the meal schedule.
I love it. Well, what other questions do you have, Adam?
Yeah, my earlier one. I'm scrolling up here. I can't remember.
I was just trying to make Adam laugh. It didn't work today. You're so serious, Adam.
Adam's trying to figure out what he was asking earlier.
I know, you're not normally so serious.
I'm the least serious.
Oh, yeah. The other question was, do you need SSL of PayPal?
Oh, yeah.
Online? Good job,
Okay,
Kevin.
so like, without naming names, yeah, if PayPal is offsite. So because there's definitely a couple of online shops I have that are pretty big and do like quite a lot of custom. But because the payment gateway is PayPal and they leave the site to do the transaction, I've never really thought that SSL was necessary, but I didn't factor in my own login being exploited. If I log into that with a free public Wi-Fi somewhere and they get my login details, like, man, that's actually really bad. I'm talking like maybe 50 other websites or something that I use that login for, which, that freaks me out.
Yep.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's definitely a thing.
You weren't freaked out before, folks. You are now.
I'm so freaked out. So, but
so
you answered that question really well. And
yes,
I definitely need to worry, especially like about that.
Well, when you're dealing with like your login to your website, that's the first part. It's like, you're using, probably the crappiest password that you have, and you're just typing in, Jason and password 123, and then you're hitting the go button, and then you're logged in. And then, you got somebody who's sitting there watching your connection to the web server and just goes, oh, password 123, sweet. And
I definitely have like a secure password, but it's just the same for a lot.
It's one secure password. Yeah. So
one password to rule them all.
Yeah. So if you're on a Mac, the best one the one I like the most is called 1Password. It's number 1 and then the word password. You'll remember it because it's the 1Password that you're typing in, but instead of typing in that 1Password, you're gonna let the app actually go and type the password in for you.
So does the app have to be secure?
Yeah, so the app typically.
What happens when that breaks? Armageddon?
Yeah, it's the whole thing. So.
Oh my god! I gotta watch Disney movies so I can sleep now.
So with 1Password, what it does is it stores that locally on your computer. If you have a family and you want to be able to like share the fact that your family should be using multiple passwords for their stuff, they actually have a family plan that you can pay for that will take care of all the passwords for you. It'll actually do all the hosting of the passwords. It makes it so that in the event that your spouse needs to have access to your passwords, based on certain criteria, you can make it so that your spouse will be able to access it. You can have passwords that are just shared. So if it's like
it emailed.
Yeah. It's like a gate code. If you needed to get into your gate and you wanted to remember what that code is, or like me, I have all the clothing sizes of my whole family, so I can remember what size T-shirt my kids wear and stuff. So that way I can just quickly load that up. But remember, you can put anything in. And so what's nice about it is it runs on your computer, and if you want to have it also on your phone, or if you're crazy and you have it on an Apple Watch, you can actually have all of that stuff all in one place and be able to access that data.
That's cool. I have a Google Drive document that has like 100 different passwords in it, and then
so if you're a Google person, Google actually makes something called Google Keep that's very similar to that. So you should definitely look at that if you're an Android person. Yeah, Google Keep is pretty awesome.
Well, Apple has that keychain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? You don't sound very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really have
anxiety right now.
It doesn't really have an interface. It's not like there's like a place that you can be able to, to see everything and manage it all.
Keychain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's the key. Yeah, there's like keychain access, which is the thing built into the Mac. But yeah, it's confusing.
No, that's your nice way of saying, wow, I am taking applications for a new co-host.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. I just can't believe how much anxiety I have.
If you don't want to use any of those, there's also another one called LastPass.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great, too. What the thing about LastPass is all of that stuff's stored on the internet, where 1Password's actually stored on your computer. And if you wanted to have it synced elsewhere, you can use Dropbox for that. So if you're already paying for Dropbox, that's one more place that they'll store it. And it actually stores it in a secured manner. So that way, if somebody logs into your Dropbox and downloads that file and tries to open it, it's encrypted, so no one will be able to access it.
What about Google Authenticator?
Yeah, that is a totally different thing. So Google Authenticator is
two-step authentication.
Two-factor authentication. Yep.
I have one other thing to say, actually.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so you reminded me when you mentioned Dropbox. I stopped using Google Drive because it was really slow, and I hate how slow it is. So then I paid for a larger Google Drive account, and it was okay. And then I looked at Mega, and because like Tim.com lives in New Zealand, so we hear about that all the time. Like it's great actually. So it's really brought into the light how bad our internet is, and anyway, Mega is really secure. And it's so fast, and I would recommend using Mega over Google Drive or Dropbox or anything like that, because it's really cheap and it's really fast and it's super secure. So I don't know. I'd have to recommend that. And he put out a rumor recently that Mega.nz was stopping, and apparently it's false. But he's also brought out that Mega Upload will be starting again, and it's super cheap and real secure. So that's a thing that's happening. And yeah, I don't know. I give it props. That's all. It's faster than Google Drive and real cheap. So
yeah, and what's nice about it is the encryption actually happens on your web browser. So between the connection of your web browser and the server, it's actually doing all the encryption in the browser itself.
Yeah. That's great.
And it used to be where it was just like the only thing that people used that for was to take pirated movies and throw them on the internet and people can look at them. But it's more than that now. Now there's actually a place to be able to stash your data and be able to access it later. They make a chat. They make web browsing. They make all sorts of really cool stuff with it. So yeah, and what's nice is it's a local thing to use. So that way, if you're not having to go all the way out to the internet or all the way out to the US or what have you, or wherever the local servers may be, to be able to access that content, you're accessing it directly from where you're at. And they have a distributed network as well. It's not like it's just in there, but yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that's all.
No, that's cool. I've used Mega for being able to upload large files and let people download them and use them. So I like it.
Yep. No more watching Person of Interest for me. I am now just.
we broke Bridget.
You broke me. I just thought it was a funny science fiction-y crime show, and now it's real.
Now she's like, it's real.
It's the machine. She's talking to me.
Oh man. Earlier you mentioned HTTPS everywhere.
Yeah.
There's actually a Chrome extension for that will test to see if HTTPS exists on the server, and if it does, it will use that and favor that versus the standard HTTP.
I've been using that extension for a little while. It's actually really, really good. You know?
Yeah, the only thing is about it is it gives you a false positive if like you're testing to make sure HTTPS is working on somebody's website. You're like, it works just fine, and then the client goes to it, they go to HTTP, and it's like, it didn't redirect. What's the problem? And then Various's browser's like, I always look for HTTPS. It's
that's actually,
you got to be careful with it.
That's something I actually haven't encountered yet, so I'm glad that you brought that up.
I mean, what happens if, are these browsers, can you see things that aren't secure, or does it only show secure things?
So like if you went to a website that doesn't automatically redirect to HTTPS, what ends up happening is the site, the Chrome extension will actually test the site to see if the homepage will load up in HTTPS. And if it does, then it connects to it using that. And it will favor that over normal just HTTP. So that way you'll always have a secured internet connection. Now, the only thing is about that is if you go to WPwatercooler.com, which doesn't have an SSL certificate, it will test to see if it has SSL. And if it does not, then it fails and just says, nope, sorry, I can't do it. And then it just connects to using HTTP.
Well, that's why they're not forcing us, because there's not enough people. You don't even have enough over the, not even into the early majority, or even, you're barely into the early majority of the law of diffusion of innovation. You got to get a firm foothold in the second, in a late majority before you, yeah, okay. I see what's happening.
Yep.
I'm all.
Yeah, until it's like full blown, everyone's going to be using HTTPS. For one, that Chrome extension is not going to need to exist because everyone will have an HTTPS connection. Unfortunately, it just requires installing a SSL certificate, maintaining the SSL certificate, and updating it as needed when it expires.
So people that are afraid of updating WordPress, you got bigger problems now, buddy.
Yeah, so if you're Various and you're running your own, virtual private server, cool. But just realize that you're going to have to manage all your own SSL stuff. And if you're somebody who's using cPanel on your virtual private server, then you can definitely use third-party tools to be able to manage it. And if you're using something like Let's Encrypt, then there's plenty of scripts that will automatically manage all that stuff for you. It's just, Bridget's not going to be installing that and doing it using SSL.
No, I feel okay about WordPress updates.
Right. So what I would suggest is if you're somebody who's trying to set up an SSL certificate. Hey, Jacob, you live in the same city I am. You need to drive by and drop me off one.
Yeah, me too.
So what I was getting at here is that if you're somebody who wants to have a secured connection to their website, definitely ask your web host. Just say, hey, I have $100 to spend on making my website secure for the year. Let's make this happen, and then you just pay them. If you're looking for a web host that will be able to do this for a lot cheaper, maybe that's something you should look at before you pick that web host. See how much it costs for an SSL certificate. If your payment gateway, if you're using a payment gateway, requires to have that special seal of approval on your website to give you the warm fuzzies and everything, then make sure you're able to do that. But if it's your cat's blog and you only update your website from home and that's it, then maybe you don't need an SSL certificate just yet. Maybe at some point, DreamHost or whoever it is that you're hosting with will come back around and say, hey, you know what? We're offering SSL certificates for absolutely everyone. It just happens and there's nothing you have to do about it. It just works. Then cool, you'll benefit just like everyone else is benefiting from having that SSL certificate.
I thought this article was very clear on how to convert a WordPress website to SSL, and it's on the Give WP.com website.
Matt wrote that.
I know. I read it probably several weeks back when he first wrote it, and I was like, "This is really clear. This is really good." And so, I
will say that the plugin that was mentioned, the WP Force HTTPS.
Yeah.
That's one. I have a couple of clients that host their sites on Pagely, and they actually don't allow you to run the WP Force HTTPS.
I was going to ask.
And WP Engine actually does not allow you to do that either.
All right. So alternatives to Force HTTPS, is there a need for that? I mean, like, are there alternatives?
I guess the alternative would be that if the web host provides a tool that does it, which is both Pagely as well as a WP Engine, you're fine. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's just when it's mainly when they're using stuff like mod SSL, or if they're any type of modules that are built into Apache, or if they're using anything like through Nginx. I know we're getting ridiculously geeky. I'm so sorry, folks, that are just trying to figure out how to get your cat blog up.
I'm using Nginx on my server, and I would probably just do a force through the htaccess file.
Yep.
Wow, I thought you were supposed to touch that.
No.
Don't touch the htaccess file.
No,
Adam, it's a pleasure. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're supposed to touch the htaccess file. You just don't change anything in there. So feel free to go in there and look at it and see what it does, and see all the things that get changed when you make changes to your permalinks. And this is what desktop server was made for.
Oh, really?
Desktop server says, you know what? Touch everything, break everything, do whatever you want.
Get that working again.
Yes. Yeah, like, if you don't go in there and make some changes in the htaccess once in a while.
Have you even lived?
You haven't lived yet.
Folks,
get wild. Woo!
Here comes trouble in the form of a Kevin Hoffman.
Kevin! He's serious over here. He's very serious.
I love Kevin Hoffman. Kevin. What's up, Kevin? What's up, dude? How's it going?
What's up, Kevin?
We can.
Cool.
So tell me all the things I got wrong.
Where should I start? What I wanted to bring up was HTTP 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I think everyone, when you first get into SSL, you kind of get that transactions like form submissions and e-commerce, that's where it's really important. But what I think is going to take it mainstream is HTTP 2. And although I was just looking up on the GitHub, they said that SSL is not required to use HTTP 2. There's currently not a browser that supports HTTP 2 without a secure connection. Yeah. So here's why that's important.
I remember talking to Jason Cosper. I think it was on one of our episodes on WPwatercooler where we were talking about that, and he was like, "This is going to be like the end all be all. This is going to be the best thing ever." But yeah, it requires HTTPS. Which I think is great, because if you're gonna move up to the next level, then it makes perfect sense to have HTTPS set up as well.
Yeah, but
so does that mean that if HTTPS 2 comes out, does that mean that we're now in Web 3.0 and then all of the numbering schemes get all out of whack?
Apparently, they dropped the 0.0 off of 2 because it was confusing people. But here's why it's like really important for all of WordPress, is because it's not just about like form submissions and e-commerce now. There's this thing called multiplexing, which will allow us to serve like many assets at the same time. Whereas, right now we're on, most of the web is on HTTP 1.1, where basically you say you have to serve like 20 images. The user's browser requests it, then they have to wait for a response to request the next one. And it like ping pongs back and forth. With HTTP 2, you'll be able to make a bunch of requests at the same time, and then those requests can be served like as they come in or as the user receives them. So,
which is so much nicer for a web browser.
Ahead of time on the mobile app at Starbucks, and then going to the drive-thru and it's ready.
Hang on,
Except 5 by 10.
There's
Try that again, Bridget.
I'm saying, so is it like ordering your latte on the mobile Starbucks app and then going to the drive-thru and it's already ready for you?
No, it's like as if you were ordering those Starbucks lattes or whatever, and they gave them to you individually, and you had to hand each one of them to you, versus putting them
and
in
it's
this
like
really
you
big
couldn't order your
cart.
cappuccino until they served you your latte.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So it's all of that mixed together.
So
No,
it's
that's
more of a
really
sequencing issue. Like you have to do one before you could do the second.
I just posted a SiteGround article. It has some really good visuals about the comparison between 1.1 and 2. So if you look at 1.1, it's like you're making the request, wait for the response, make another request, whereas HTTP 2, you can make a bunch of requests and they can be responded to, as they can be, as fast as possible.
Great
And
art.
your web browser maxes out on X number of requests at a time anyhow. So by having HTTP 2, it fixes a lot of that, and it optimizes it and makes it
So
faster. So your website
Faster?
will load up faster because it's getting the data quicker and better versus these single threads or 3 or 4 threads happening at the same time.
Yeah. So for a long time, it's been like a best practice to concatenate, minify all your CSS, all your JavaScript. We're using plugins like Hot Optimize and things like that to squish everything together into the fewest number of files possible before we serve them. But right now we're like in this limbo stage where if you want to take advantage of HTTP 2 and you're serving your site securely, it's like it almost makes sense to maybe not do that anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you can't predict what your user's browser is capable of.
Oh.
So it's like, are you going to try to serve to a sliver of the audience that's really up to date and has responder browsers?
Do you think HTTP 2 will go the way of XHTML?
I don't think so.
There was so much hype behind XHTML, and everybody was ready for it, and then it just like died.
Yeah, but I think that this is being planned much better. I mean, we haven't seen an update on an HTTP protocol since 1999.
What is driving this? Is it the expansion of IP addresses from version 4 to version 6 or anything crazy like that? What is driving?
I think it's primarily the evolution of technology to handle multiplexing that wasn't possible in the old days.
Yeah, we're using really old ass technology here to do stuff that back then it was like, hey, let's use Java to make a little thing spin around on my website. And like that was the coolest thing ever. Now we're like, oh, let's use, old protocols to be able to stream stuff off Netflix. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not like we're using Gopher or Wise or any of these stuff from like way back in the day, but it could be. It's like we're still using HTTP, and we've been using HTTP for a long time now.
US, Matt in the State of the Word was saying that when we consider accessibility, we need to consider people who are on 2G networks. So how does this all coexist?
So I'll give you a good example of it.
Speeding up and being more secure, and then providing accessibility for people in Haiti who have 2G.
This one's a little far-fetched, but let's say, for instance, like one of the things Kevin was talking about is this idea of kind of concatenating or taking all of these files and sticking them together into one file so it all gets downloaded at the same time. So it's only using one of those connections to download everything. When you go and update one of those files in there, what ends up happening is you're updating the entire file because the whole file is being changed. Where when you have multiple files and you make a change to one of those files, all the rest of the files that we're going to be kind of in that group together are all individual, and they can all be cached separately. So now what ends up happening is when you go to the website, one thing will be, instead of one thing just being downloaded, you'll have 10 things being downloaded. But if you make a change to one of them, the browser, if you've been there, whatever the rules are on the browser, would look at it and go, oh, I haven't updated anything in this file. The one you have cached on your computer is just fine. Feel free to keep that and reference that instead of downloading a whole new one. Now, that's a little far-fetched, but it's like, it's kind of like sprites. Like if you have like an image sprite sheet and you have all these different little images all squished together into one, and you make a change to one of them, you're actually downloading the whole new file instead of just one of the files.
Font libraries?
Yeah,
what's that other thing?
Right.
Icon libraries and.
Yeah. Well, with this, it's like, and again, this is, like I said, it's probably a little bit of a far-fetched type thing, but the idea of having these multiple files still exist, allowing those to all be cached versus just caching one of them, having it expire, and a new one gets downloaded.
We've talked about a lot of these different kinds of things on this show, and this conversation is bringing me back to that whole accelerated mobile pages discussion. I mean, how is that jive with the security? Yeah. I mean, if it strips out all the JavaScript and all that stuff, and you're forcing, does it strip out all the stuff that forces HTTPS?
Well, like what Jacob said in there, using something like AMP, where it's already stripped out, and it's kind of its intention is to be a stripped out version of the desktop version, if you will. But I see a lot of people where the desktop version of it is almost never accessed because they're all on mobile devices.
Well,
so it's then AMP is the only way in which they're going to see it.
Well, they're not all on mobile devices, are they?
No, but the vast majority of, depending on, vast majority, it depends on, who the demographic is.
So, Bridget, like your question about serving low bandwidth
communities, that's a better way to put
it. There's two parts to that. One is like the protocols we've been talking about, which is like, can they handle multiple requests at once? Are they pinging back and forth? Like if you serve a 2G connection across the world right now with a bunch of assets, like all your CSS files are separate, they're going to be hanging around for a long time while that site loads. So that's one side of it. The other part of it is how we build the actual website, which is totally independent from the protocol that's being used to transmit it. So using responsive images, best practices, progressive enhancements, so that we're not loading all these desktop assets on a mobile site that doesn't need them. Like two kind of unrelated things that they both come together to affect the end result, which is the speed at which you see your site.
Wow.
So the better, the stronger, and the faster, developers that build these things will ultimately end up having better, faster, stronger websites.
Like Jacob brought up this idea of critical CSS, which is like taking the CSS that affects what you see on a media page load, taking it out of the file and like inlining it in the page so that the page renders faster. Or it appears to the end user that the page is rendering faster. While,
looking at the style CSS.
Yeah, like say when you go to a website and you see like a hero banner, the critical CSS might be the stuff that affects how that banner is displayed, while the rest of the site CSS is in its own file that might take longer to download.
It's funny. I always think when I see these things and Jacob mentions it, it's always like, check out this really cool thing. And I'm like, I wonder if that uses grunt, gulp, shake, shack, whatever the different terms are that are out there. Yeah. I'm wondering if it's, and then sure enough, look, there's gulp, there's grunt. It's like, because these are the things that people have to use in order to be able to make these things happen.
You have to still be able to develop your CSS naturally and not have to like constantly think, oh, is this critical CSS? Is this going to appear above the fold? So there's ways in Grunt and Gulp to automate some of that, so you can still build your CSS as you normally would, but when you compile it, kind of outputs that must have that critical CSS where it should be in the head.
I love the idea of it. Yeah, I love the idea of it.
I would say it's probably pretty far down the pipeline in terms of optimizations. Like there's a lot of other things you should be doing first.
Right.
Images.
Who makes those decisions?
People who are really concerned about performance, and they've already exhausted other things, like they've already totally optimized their images, they've concatenated, minified, everything else. It's like, okay, how can we shave milliseconds off the load time by doing these other things?
Wow.
Folks,
I don't think
it's getting
anybody
close to 9 o'clock.
at BridgetWiller.com, so I think I'm good.
I'm
It's
all
getting
out
close to
of
9
ideas.
o'clock. I'm thinking we're
I'm
about
so
ready to wrap
stressed
up.
out. Yeah,
We
now that we're
went-
stressed out.
We went from here to there. And I want to apologize for a lot of people that, SSL is supposed to be hard. It is. Its intention was to be hard.
It is hard.
Its intention was also to make the web host money. And it was also to make some third-party money that was going to be selling the SSL certificate.
Doing
So-
all of it. Congratulations.
So now we've totally blown that out of the water and just go, you know what? We're just gonna give it to you for free. Here you go. Here's a thing. It's gonna expire after so many amount of days, and you're just gonna have to re-up it. And if you're smart enough, you'll know how to have something that'll do the re-upping of that SSL certificate, and you should be good to go. So yeah, we've come full circle, and we're just gonna have to see what the web hosts are gonna have to start charging in for us now instead of SSL certificates. Folks, that's about it for today. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. Click on the links there to subscribe. If you liked this particular video and you're watching on YouTube, or you're watching over at WPwatercooler or Bridget's website or Various's website, or Kevin might even post this now that he was on the show. You never know.
He's a shining star. You don't know who you are.
Click on the little thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, leave us a comment. Just say hi. Say, I'm awesome. Say whatever you want. I'd appreciate that.
Say
Folks,
I'm awesome.
thank you very much. You have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.